Oh, Pooh, look at that. The door is opened, and it certainly hasn't been a day. Oh, wow. Let's walk through. Oh, wow. Look how straight edged and simple and, like, not creative at all this place is. Good place to talk about Confucianism. See what I did there? Yeah, so Confucianism is actually the one I have the least notes about, but the most knowledge of. To give you some prior knowledge, before I lived in Minecraft, I used to live in China for 2 years of my life. I lived in Shanghai and Pudong when I was in 7th and 8th grade. And the first year I was there, I hated it. But the second year I was there, I gained some actual knowledge and realized that this place was actually awesome. So I actually studied Confucianism a bit, not in school, but actually outside. You see, we had a lot of breaks in Shanghai just because my school was like that. We had a shorter summer, but a lot more vacation days. And whenever I was on break, like I'd go and visit places, and sometimes I'd just go around the city with my family. And one of these times, actually not one of these times, like three or four of these times, that's why I call it studying, I went to Confucian temples, like nearby Confucian temples. Now, Confucianism in China, well, let me just start off by saying, so I can get those check marks, is Confucianism was started by Confucius, a Chinese philosopher similar to Lao Tzu in Taoism. And these principles were not really for happiness like um, Taoism, but for learning and running government and how societies he thought should work. Um, and these principles actually in modern day China were, well, not modern, but like recent, weren't really supported by the government. But like very, very recently, like some temples have just gotten funding and there's schools for Confucianism principles now. But the recent governments haven't been very for Confucianism ideas, and there's some. I understand it a bit, even though this religion interests me. I understand why Confucianism isn't always the best idea. Now, Confucianism, there's a lot. It's kind of like it's what people mainly base their stereotypes of Chinese people off of, like their principles. There's a lot of study to work hard by being hard at like by doing by leading. There's a lot of leadership. There's a lot of studying. There's a lot of there's a lot of that. It's very easy to like I, I I didn't make this room, but I mean like I made this off of like a stereotype. And it's a lot of interesting things. They use Confucianism mainly to run their governments back in the olden days. And you'd have to take this entrance exam that would be like they don't do the entrance exam anymore because obviously the government isn't run by Confucianism principles. But it used to be you'd have to take this entrance exam to get into the government and have this high spot and job. But so a lot of people would try to cheat on it. And in a few of the temples I went to, you'd see some of these artifacts from back in the days with like a bunch of like you'd see like a chest plate, like a steel chest plate, or not steel, but like iron. You'd see like a chest plate, and on the inside of this chest plate, you'd see a bunch of Chinese characters, and people would like spend years writing Confucius ideas on these Chinese test plates. So when they took these tests that decided if they were get this like really high paying government job, they could just cheat off their chest plate and sometimes they'd be discovered, other times they wouldn't be. But that just showed you how important these ideas were. It's a lot of respecting your elders, which is like often considered a stereotypical Chinese thing to do. There's also a lot of you have to study like mad. People say like all Asians are smart. That's kind of comes from this standard. So yeah, Confucianism is interesting, but like, oh, how's it going, Pooh?